On everyone, this is Lucas Ross Sports, Lucas Ross your commentator, and it's time for my college football playoff predictions for the upcoming 2022 season. I'm going to give you a college football playoff semifinal prediction and also give you the national champion that I think will be in 2023. But this is the playoff predictions. People really do this in the early off season, so I'm going to give you my playoff predictions here on this channel. And I'll give you the top 4 teams that I think will make the college football playoff and win the national championship and also win those semifinal games. And we get right into it here. Let's get right into it here for the college football playoff predictions. And here is the bracket for the 2022 college football playoff. As you see, the games will be held at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. The number 1 versus number 4 seeded will be at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. And then the 2 versus 3 matchup will be played at the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. So pretty good locations this year for the college football playoff. I'm really looking forward to it, but it's a long way to go before the season even starts. So let's get right here to it. Let's start with the number 1 team that I think will be number 1 in the college football playoff and will play in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. And of course, I think everybody knows what that's going to be, as Alabama. I think Alabama is clearly the number 1 team in the college football playoff this season. I think Alabama, with the team they have coming back and Bryce Young coming back as well, this team is absolutely loaded. They should be the number 1 team. I mean, last year they did, get to the number 1 seed, but this team was still capable of going to the national championship. Last year they came up short, but I think this is a loaded Alabama team this season. And I think they're going to be really good and really explosive on that side of the ball. So I don't think I really see anybody beating Alabama this season. Maybe it's Georgia, maybe it's, another Western Division opponent, but Alabama just quite too talented on both sides of the ball. I had them beating Georgia in the SEC Championship. If you go back and watch my standings based on those predictions that I did, I picked Alabama to win that SEC Championship. Now we go to the number 2 seeded team here for the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. And I think it's going to be a team that is pretty much dangerous this season. That is Ohio State. I think Ohio State is number 2 here, and they'll play in the Fiesta Bowl. So remember the last time Ohio State went to the, Fiesta Bowl, they lost that game to Clemson in a close fashion. And I think Ohio State is just so dangerous this season that they get back into the college football playoff picture. And I think that's what wins them a lot of games this year. And I got them winning the Big Ten Championship against Iowa. If you go back and watch my Big Ten video, I did pick Ohio State to win it over Iowa. So I think the Buckeyes will be a dangerous offensive team this season. I think the defense has a lot of question marks where they were last year. But this team is still really good, and I think they'll still be good on that side of the ball. Schedule is not all that tough, but you have to play Notre Dame out of the non-conference. But I mean, it's obviously that Ohio State is favored in that game, but I think the Buckeyes will be number 2 here in the college football playoff bracket. And who would they play against? Who will they play against in the Fiesta Bowl against the number 3 team? And it was a tough call here for number 3, but this team right here, I think, is capable of making the college football playoff. They're well coached, and they're out of the Pac-12 conference, and that is Utah. I think Utah makes the college football playoff this season. And I think they do play against Ohio State in the Fiesta Bowl. This is going to be a good one. It's a rematch from last year's Rose Bowl game where Ohio State came out on top. It was a great matchup. I think it's going to be even another great matchup this season. This is a well-coached Utah team. And with how Utah came out as the number 3 team, I had Clemson losing the ACC Championship. That was an option. I had Oklahoma losing the Big 12 Championship. But Utah was the only team that won their conference titles, so that's why I picked Utah to win, or, to put them here at number 3 in the college football playoff bracket. But I think it's going to be Ohio State versus Utah in the Fiesta Bowl this upcoming season. And then we go to the number 4 seeded team, who will play Alabama in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. This one was obviously a tough one to call as well. I mean, I had Clemson as an option. I didn't pick them, though. And I also had, maybe Oklahoma, but they had 2 losses on their record. But this team right here, I think, is still capable of going to the college football playoff. And they're probably the only one-loss team that goes into it. Now, actually, Utah does lose a regular season game, but they'll be the second one-loss team to enter the college football playoff bracket, and that is the Georgia Bulldogs. I think it's a rematch from last year's championship game between Alabama and Georgia, and also the rematch for the SEC championship this season as well. I think Georgia still is a top 5 team, even though they do lose to Alabama in the SEC championship. I think this is still a good enough Georgia team to get into that number 4 spot. I mean, I could still see, what about this? What if this happens? What if Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship? Alabama could still be the number 4 team. I mean, it's no problem at all for Alabama. And Ohio State, what if they lose to Iowa? Well, they could still be probably the number 4 team as well. But it will obviously be a tough call, but I think this is how the bracket will stand out at the end of this season. And I think Alabama versus Georgia in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and then Ohio State versus Utah in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Now we make our predictions here. We'll start with that first semifinal game between Alabama and Georgia in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. This one is going to be a good one, similar to kind of last year's championship game. I think it's kind of similar, but I think Alabama is going to be fired up in this game, and I think they'll be ready this time for Georgia to whatever throws at them. And I got Alabama winning that semifinal game. I think they do move on to the championship, and Alabama defeats Georgia there. I think it will be some sort of close to the SEC championship, where I think it's close to a 10-point game, but I think Alabama they'll step up on defense, and their offense will just be explosive like as always they are. So Alabama will move on. Next game here, it's the number 2 seeded versus the number 3 team. It is Ohio State versus Utah. This one is going to be a good one. These two teams had a great matchup in the Rose Bowl last year. Redemption here for Utah, and a revenge game here for Utah as well. But let's be honest, Ohio State, too dangerous on offense this season. I really don't see Utah beating Ohio State. Do I think they have a chance in this game? Yes, they do, but I just think Ohio State is too loaded on the offensive side of the ball. I think the defense is going to step up as well by this time because it's close to the end of the year, and I think Ohio State does win that second semifinal, and they move on to the national championship where they'll face Alabama here for the 2023 national championship. And this game will be in Los Angeles. We heard that there is going to be in Los Angeles. It's going to be a good one. Alabama versus Ohio State in the national championship. It was not even a close game when they met in 2020, or they met in the 2021 national championship game. And this one right here is just going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one between these two teams. High-scoring matchup, I believe, between two great offenses. But let's be honest, I think Alabama's just got the better offense in this game. I mean, Bryce Young, I think, is also, the top quarterback coming into 2022. And I think Ohio State does come up short of the championship. I think Alabama wins the national championship here. I think it's going to be really close. I mean, I hope it's a high-scoring game than last year's championship game. I kind of want to see a shootout in this game as well. But I think Alabama is clearly the better team than Ohio State. But I really don't want to sleep on the Buckeyes. Don't really sleep on the Buckeyes this season. I mean, they could be one of the most dangerous teams in the Big Ten Conference and also in all of college football. But I think Alabama is clearly the better offense in this game, and I think that's what it wins there for Alabama in a national championship. So that concludes my college football playoff bracket, my top 4 teams. I have Alabama versus Georgia in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Ohio State versus Utah in the Fiesta Bowl, and then Alabama versus Ohio State in the national championship. That concludes my college football playoff predictions here for this video, and stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports.